I'm going to forget the name of the book, and I have forgotten it. There's a book called Podcast. There's this guy.
Podcasting for Dummies?
No, it wasn't
No.
Podcasting for Dummies.
Okay.
But there was a gentleman that was known. He was real big in the podcasting world. And it's really going to bother me that I can't think of his name right now. But he had a book that I followed, and I just basically went step by step by step, and he gave every single step that you're supposed to do. And it's really going to irritate me that I can't think of his name right now. And I recommend that same book to everyone that comes to me and says, "How do I start a podcast?"
Is that the guy you called?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
okay.
It's not them.
Okay.
But realistically, there's little things that you can do. Some of them are free. Some of them actually cost money. And we went with the one that actually cost just a little bit to start off, where we can actually house the episodes. Simply because I wasn't looking at our podcast for where we were in the moment when nobody was listening. I was thinking about where we could eventually. Our goal was to touch 1 million couples, to positively impact a million marriages. And in order to do that, I didn't feel like doing it the free way all the time was going to really benefit us down the road, because you just never know. You're one listener away from, viral or being discovered or what have you. And that's the direction that we went. So I know I'm being a little cryptic in my response, because there's so many different ways that you can actually start. You can go on YouTube, how to start a podcast, and they'll have specific steps to it. And it has to speak to you and the way that you like to actually work. And follow those steps and be accountable to them. Don't sit there and go, I don't like the way they did that, especially if you're new. I don't like the way they did that. I'm going to do it my way. Stick to the script, whatever that particular blueprint is that you want to follow.
Nice. So I came in to heard, and I heard I'm being cryptic. So I take it you didn't give a straightforward answer in that?
Did not give a straightforward answer. Like I said, there was a book. It was called Podcasting. I want to say it was Podcasting 101. And it was by a gentleman that was interviewing a lot of people in the very beginning. He was in the very forefront of podcasting. And he had a book, and I went with the digital book that he had. And if I can remember it, I don't know, I can't think of his name. I can see the cover, but I got the digital version because he had links in there for me, so that I can just click on a link and then do this. He talked about which microphones to use. He said he talked about the high-end microphones. And he says, and these microphones will do the job. It's the exact same microphones we have to this day, 200 and, 30, 200, however many episodes we have, that much later. So he said, don't get lost in the tech. So I don't get lost in the tech. So he had these little steps, and I followed it like it was a baking recipe. And we followed the same recipe. Only now, almost 3 years later or whatever, am I starting to look to try and get more like the M4 show.
Hey.
Much love.
Shout out to Orland.
What does it say? I can't read that.
She's basically just saying that she loves the episode.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. Thank you, Overland. We appreciate you, sis. So you can go with the freed version as well. So there's like anchor.fm. You can go to that website. It is free. It is owned by Spotify. And from that one place, you can send your podcast to Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. There's also Buzzsprout, which is also good, but does cost a little bit of money, but it does similar stuff. So if you're looking to start your podcast next week, just jump, figure it out, go to one of those websites, or get the book that Brother Lovey was talking about, and you can go ahead and get started.
Can I prolong this just a little bit, because you mentioned something, and this is the viewpoints of the Caissons don't necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Devon and Sinclair. I want to give them a little bit of a buffer. You mentioned Anchor. And Anchor is great for a lot of individuals. But one thing that, particularly in the African-American community, that we've struggled with is ownership. And there's some fine print in a lot of these different places. Know who you're doing business with. Though Anchor is owned by Spotify, and that sounds phenomenal, you can get your content can get repurposed and moved around by utilizing Anchor. If you want complete ownership of owning your master tape, so to speak, right? You want complete ownership is something that we need to have. Look into Buzzsprout, look into Libsyn, because it's your content. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want, and nobody else can utilize that without your permission. Anchor, on the other hand, has had issues in the past where they can do what they want with your content. You can actually insert ads that you might not necessarily agree with because you're on their platform. So make sure that if you're doing this for ownership, for longevity, for legacy, that you know who you're doing business with and why.
Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all,
Any.
do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify,
All
anything, all of them.
All
of them. Wherever you're listening, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.